Hey there. Whew. I'm going to tell you, if you've never belly danced, that's one quite the workout. So, sometimes I just don't know what's going to come through today, during the day. Whew. So, if you've never belly danced, what a workout on the abdominals, right? Hold on a minute, I got to catch my breath. Hey, Giuseppe, Sandy, Johnny, Amanda, thank you. That makes my day to know that I'm not just dancing going, I don't even care. I'll make a fool of myself. I've done enough of it in my lifetime. And thank you, Calissa. I appreciate that. Hey, Paul. Who else is with me? Hey, Bob. Woohoo! So happy that you could join me. So I didn't just come in here to belly dance for you. Hey, Desi. I came in to talk about what's going down. It's all about the poop, baby. And you know what? There's two subjects involved here, but at the same time, they're so interrelated that you can't deny the manifestation of the other. Okay? So, here's where we're at today. We all got some stuff going on. And this area, our stomach, is our emotional center. Hey, Carl. So happy to see you. So when we get stuck in life, we have to reflect upon what we're holding on to emotionally. And the majority of the time could be internal resentment that we're projecting outward to someone, animosity, anger, frustration. But when we project it out, what it really is toward ourselves. Hey, Russ. Because everything that's going on emotionally is in relation to the relationship we have with ourselves. I'm going to bring it back every single time. It's always about the self-love. If you are not loving on yourself, there's no way anybody else is going to be able to. And the body's always telling you whether or not you're loving you. Physical blocks, inflammation, belly issues, digestion. So it came in twofold when I was doing my morning practice. This morning I was reflecting upon how I used to be in my past lives and how I was one to hold on to stuff. I was very emotional as a child, but I didn't express it as much. I mean, I tried, but when I wasn't getting the response and the reaction and the needed attention, I held on to it. And where do you think you hold on to your emotions when you don't confront them and deal with them? Right in the belly. Now, I never had a big belly. I was never fat because I from a young age, had this idea that I wanted to take care of my body. I wanted it to be healthy, but I didn't understand the difference between the physical appearance and the internal loving aspect, because that's the area we all need to focus on. The self-love is everything from what we think, speak, put in our bodies, how we express ourselves. Everything is an expression of love. And we can even say someone acts in a hateful way, but it's because it's lacking the love. They don't know how to express themselves. I know, Brenda, right? It always goes back to the toilet. Actually, I had friends years ago, and I remember this conversation. They were doctors, and the doctors always say, the doctors and the nurses out there will agree with this. They were like, everything always goes back to the shitter, baby. And we talked about the proper toilet seats and how whoever came up with these toilet seats where we sit down, we're actually constricting the blood vessels and the circulation, which is why, you have all sorts of issues. That's why sitting is the new, smoking. It's so bad for your health. So if you're sitting a lot, you got to get up and move your body. Hi, Sharon. How you doing? I was introduced to the squatty potty years ago by my hydrocolon therapist, who has since passed. May she rest, because she was an amazing soul and had so much vital information she shared with me. And I miss her dearly. She was wonderful. And not just my hydrocolon therapist, but a friend. And so I know, right? You know what? You can build your own. It's all about getting some wood, put some, pieces and put them on your, the sides of the toilet. It's just a U shape and you can tuck it under the toilet seat. Hi, Simi. Good to have you here. We're talking about the poop. And so I remember, and even going to India, they got little seat positions on their toilet seats in places that have toilet seats. Otherwise, like my first introduction was when I was in Korea. Oh my God, I love the Squatty Potty commercial. That is the bomb. I have to watch it sometimes just to get the giggle on. You know what I mean? It's just freaking hilarious. And you can't deny it's done so well, right? And I'm all about rainbows. I don't care who uses the rainbow as a symbol. I love my rainbows. The Rainbow Connection, Kermit the Frog, the Great Muppet Caper was one of my all-time favorite movies. So first I want to point out, y'all know someone who is uptight and holding on to stuff, and they're toxic, right? Hit the share button because you never know. They're going to maybe get in on this conversation and go, this might be kind of helpful for me to listen to, right? And we all want to help somebody, and you don't have to force it, but sometimes sharing it just gets their attention and they just get curious enough to look, right? So again, sharing's caring. I don't need to tell most of you how beneficial this information is because you already know, but you never know out there who you're going to touch. Hi, Tia. Welcome. So going back to my first experience seeing these squatting toilets, I had never, ever. And my impression was, it was like, this is how I described it. I was living in Korea because I was stationed in Korea back in 95. And you walk into the rest areas and you're like, it's like a urinal on the floor, but with, little grooves on the side for your feet. And you got to get used to it because it's a bit messy. But I didn't understand the benefits of squatting back then. I didn't get it. I mean, it was more of a comical thing to witness, right? Hey, Brenda. Oh. So, when it really boils down to it, we're only as healthy as our digestive tract is clean, right? And if you're not going to the bathroom at least once a day, they actually recommend twice a day. If you go through the Ayurvedic texts, it's recommended you should be going twice, especially if you're consuming a lot of food. And and here's what I want to point out. It doesn't matter what your diet is. Your digestion is going to tell you what's going on. And when we really go back to self-love, everything's going to unfold from that point anyway. So everything's going to originate in the mind. If you're not already clean and you're not already exhibiting and expressing love toward yourself, mind, body, and soul, you got to talk good to yourself. You got to be kind and loving and nurturing. Self-care can be just as simple as self-massage. Laying in your bed and just going, I love you so much. You really do. I do this at night. I'm like so grateful for all the amazing things that this body does. There's all these microcosms going on, these systems, these individual, organs that do stuff that I don't have to think about. You got to express gratitude for those little things. You got to tap in and go, wow, it's amazing what my body can do when I'm not paying attention. So when you're not paying attention, your body's always paying attention. Ciao, Sergio. So when I was younger, I had a lot of emotional issues, and I had a lot of constipation, and I held on to a lot of emotion, clearly. And looking back, it was excruciating. I mean, there were times I couldn't stand up because it was so painful. It was so debilitating, and it still can be when it happens. I still have bouts of IBS. That's what they diagnosed me with in the military before I got out in 2002. Only because of process of elimination, because back then, and I don't know if they still are even aware, but gluten allergies tend to be underlying these issues, wheat sensitivities. But if we go even deeper, most food allergies are really related a lot of things in our lives they're mostly related to our physical and mental health. So if we had a trauma in our past, if you watched one of my videos where I was explaining that when I was younger, my father had a pizzeria. You couldn't get any more doughy than that, any more gluten or wheat. That during that time, I was dealing with a lot of emotional stuff. And so if I really go deeper, I'm certain that that might be even the underlying cause, because your body equates a lot of foods to the events that occurred during big deals like that. It is totally, Brenda. IBS is irritable bowel syndrome because our emotional center is our stomach. That chakra, it's our emotions. And here's the other part of this that I want to also share. Emotions are not to be feared, but to be honored, and you have to sit with them. You have to heal. In order to heal anything, you have to feel them. You have to feel your emotions and actually go, okay, what is this trying to tell me about myself? Don't go reactionary lunatic on yourself. You have to actually confront them with love and honor them, because that's the litmus test of what's going on in the mind, right? You're being triggered by something, an emotion gets sparked. That's exactly how we're stuck. We have all these issues because we don't ever sit and ask ourselves, what is this actually telling me? What's going on in my mind? What's going on in the background that I haven't confronted and dealt with? So the other thing is the navel center is your power center. So this is an interesting little dynamic. Enjoy, Brenda. Thanks for stopping in. I appreciate it. So when you actually are dealing with emotions, the behind the scenes is that you got to control your power too. Because if your navel center is weak, then you're going to be a reactionary person, and you're going to be the person who goes off on things and flips out and holds on to those emotions, and then all of a sudden just spews them out like a volcano, like a bomb went off, like everybody's going, what the hell just happened here? Well, if you don't confront and deal with your stuff internally, you start projecting it out externally. Hey Laura, thanks for tuning in. Hey Nicola. It's really, really important that you're aware what's going on in your mind, because it affects the body. It affects your soul, your heart. You weaken your heart with worry. You weaken your lungs, right? So again, I'm going to always go back to deep belly breathing down deep into the pelvic floor, because that's your life force. That is what's going to sustain, maintain, and keep you thriving. But going back to the poop, so when we hold on to stuff, like I said, it's all interrelated. The more you hold on to something, the more you become toxic. Your whole body tenses up. Now, who out there can actually attest to this? When you have a good BM, bowel movement, don't you feel like, ooh, I feel all good and loosey-goosey in my body? All of your joints feel nice and flexible and lubricated. But when you are constipated or stopped up, your body's like, ooh, everything hurts, pain, tight, tension. You're like, oh, I don't know what's wrong with me. Or even for me, I know, because I usually have pain and I can feel and see the difference in my stomach. And I remember years ago, and being a runner, when you impact, this is why walking is so beneficial. Every time your heel hits the ground and you roll forward off the toes, you're creating the momentum, and that impact is actually, it's acupressure for your nadis, because you're hitting those, the digestive points in the heel, and it stimulates the movement of the colon. So that's just one way. You go out, get yourself a good walk on. You make sure you're getting a nice, I'm not talking about doing like, a road march like I did when I was in the military, but it really helps to move things along. So then by the time you're coming back from your walk, and it might just happen immediately, you're like, oh, I got to turn around and go back. You're already starting that digestion. And in addition to the water with lemon in the morning is going to help. You know, use a straw if you, especially for teeth, dental. And you'd be surprised. You know, there's so many different things you can do to help aid the digestion. Another really great thing, if you've never heard of Nauli Kriya. Oh my gosh, that's awesome. Yes, you just tuned in, but just to let you know, I was stationed in Korea, and my first experience with one of those squatting toilets was in Korea back in like 1995. And I thought it was the coolest thing. Oh my gosh, the largest toilet sculpture. I love it. It looked like I know that the toilets that I saw, they look like urinals on the floor. So Nauli Kriya, and let me tell you, I had so many issues with my stomach and pain that I had trouble doing this for years until a few years ago, and I finally was able to do it. And people like to use me because I'm thin. And this is actually an indication of how healthy your bowel is, because the more that you have around this area, that means you've got inflammation. If you have, when we were kids, if you have a really nice, clean digestion, there's not going to be any bulge here, right? So if you can squeeze in, when we were kids, we used to squeeze in all the way to the spine and think that was cool to do. We were just funny. We were like, oh my gosh, look at me. I turned sideways, you can't see. We were silly with when we were younger. But you know what I mean? Like, you should not have anything going on here. Otherwise, that's showing, if you can't pull in your stomach and see that it's clean, then you got some stuff you got to move out of there. Hey, Paul. We love potty talk at our house. I'm telling you, it's all about the poop. If you're not pooping, what are you holding on to? What the heck is it that you're holding on to that's making you unhealthy, toxic, and creating dis-ease physically and emotionally and mentally, right? So, Nauli Kriya. This is very Ayurvedic. The Indians do it, and Hindus, and it's very, I'm not going to say everybody practices this because you just don't know who's doing what. And I don't do it all the time, but I'm going to share it with you so that maybe this is something you can incorporate when you are having some issues. And it's great for, it stirs the digestion. It's great for building the fire in the digestion. And it's great for tonifying the abdominals. So if you're not somebody who likes to do crunches or whatever you think you need to do, you can just do leg lifts actually for crunching. And there's so many different ways to build the abdominal area. So what happens is I'm going to show you, but you take a really nice long deep breath, really deep into that pelvic floor. This is the key, right? The breathing. And you're going to exhale it, and then you're going to come down. I hope this is going to be visible enough. I might have to move things around a little bit. So you're going to come down and place your hands on your knees. I'm going to have to turn a little. Okay. I'm going to have to turn this way. This will be interesting for me because I'm watching myself. This is the correct way, so you're not seeing the mirror of me. So you breathe nice, long, and deep. And then you so I can't see it because I have all the scrolling in front of me, but when you exhale the breath, you want to make sure that you're getting out that stagnant breath all the way from the pelvic floor to the point where it's coming, and that's why you use the breath, because that's the detoxifying when you open your mouth, right? Okay. Phrase full of poop, it's true. Yeah. Oh yeah, you gotta let that shit go, homie. I don't like to curse too much, but there are times that word actually is appropriate, right? So, let me see. Is everybody able to see this? Let me know. Let me know if you can see what I'm doing. I can't see because I'm going to have to look at myself. Hopefully I can get it on this next time. So you take a nice, long, deep inhale, Hey Wayne, you might get a kick out of this. This is Nauli Kriya. And what it's going to do is you're going to massage the organs inside. You're going to tonify the abdominal area. And they actually say the best thing to do is move it side to side. So you're actually manipulating your abdominals and the organs so that they're moving side to side, not your waist, but the actual abdominals and the organs. And it's massaging everything. And things are going to move if they haven't already, right? There's also where you can actually move it in a circle and do all sorts of stuff. But I'm not an expert at this. I'm just sharing with you the simple intro. And this will give you another option if you're having issues, okay? And if you want to do some ab work. So you take an inhale. And then you hold the breath out for as long as you can. That's the key. Because what you're doing, you expel every last bit of the breath so that you can get a nice massage in there. Because you're creating that space to get in deep, right? And I don't know, maybe it'll bring up emotions for some people. Hey, Bill. All right, we'll try it again. Inhale deep. The other thing that I didn't specify, it's really important if you can actually maintain the locks, and I should have said this earlier because I forgot. So you want to engage Mula Bandh, Uddiyana Bandh, and Jalahanda Bandh. What is that? I know everybody's like, what are those words? Those are the descriptions of the pulling up and in at the anus, the sex organs, the perineum, basically. You're not squeezing the butt, you're not squeezing everything around it, it's isolated. And then you get the navel center, and then the neck lock, which is, there will be a slight pressure, okay? Which is always good because what it's doing is it's actually great for mixing the prana and the apana, which is the sustaining prana life force and the apana elimination, okay? So this is additional information regarding doing this particular practice. So if you're out there and you want to try it with me, come on, stand on up, bring it on. You're going to inhale. Can everyone see me? Can someone let me know if you're able to actually see what's going on down here? Because of my top or whatever, I don't know, I can't see it. Anybody? Okay, so, do you want me to do it again? If not, we're good. I think we're good. So, I wanted to share this practice with you because I hadn't done it in a while myself. And I was reflecting upon just how emotions get trapped in our stomach because that is our emotional center. And there's so much chaos and craziness going on in the world that people are outwardly attacking, but they're not confronting. And when the toxicity builds, everything that's stored in here comes out like this volcano. And it's mostly because you don't have a strong navel center. Yogi Bhajan said if you have a strong navel center and you project yourself from that strong navel center, which is your power place, I always say also come through the heart because you want to do it in a loving way, that you will be heard. Your voice will be more impactful. So especially the intention behind everything you think, speak, and do should be with love, coming from a compassionate space. But again, it's always going to come back to the compassion of self-love first. If you're not exhibiting self-love for yourself, you can't expect anybody else to receive what you don't already have, and they can't reciprocate unless you're already doing it for yourself. So many people out there will say, I'm sick of this happening to me, the victim stories of, I can't understand why these people don't get it, they're not listening to me, they're not treating me the right way, they're treating me like crap. Well, I had to do it. I had to sit there and go, what is this telling me about myself? How am I treating myself? It was humbling. It was extremely humbling, because the fact that I wasn't actually treating myself with love and respect and kindness was drawing to me people who were disrespectful, people who didn't have any boundaries or limitations. So if you establish a self-love, I'm not even going to say boundary, you create this essence and radiance about yourself just by being kind and loving toward yourself. Other people will naturally fall in line with you. And if you do experience once or twice, you get somebody, you just recognize with compassion that, wow, I was there once. And when they're like that, it's just a reflection that they themselves don't have self-love. So there's this reciprocity and this learning about yourself that makes it easier to understand and have compassion and love for others. So when you let stuff go in all ways, shapes, and forms, life becomes a lot less stressful, tense, toxic. When you see a toxic person, if anything, you should be able to go, wow, can you imagine what's going on in their physical and mental bodies? There's a lot of people, they're really struggling, and they have not tapped into self-love. They don't breathe. They're stuck. They're suffocating. They're suffocating their physical body, but they're suffocating their mental, emotional, and soul bodies. This is powerful stuff. This is like the precipice of what it is we want to live. We don't want to live in pain. We don't want others to live in pain. And when we're happy, don't we feel like we want everybody to be happy? We want to be infectious. A smile when you walk down the street. The majority of people, when you smile at them, even if they don't look like they want to smile, sometimes you surprise yourself. When you smile at them, they smile back. Like, you can see this physiological change in a person, because a smile is just the simplest form of kindness. And the kindness for self, that in itself blesses everybody else. And you are not just the drop in the ocean, you are the whole ocean. We ripple out. And for each of us that works on ourselves, we are helping humanity. The more that we get rid of the stuff, we let that shit go, homie. Hey, Carol. The more that others feel inspired, because inspire is in spirit. It's spirit rising, right? Within us. And it just radiates out to everyone else. And self-love, and this is what I've been writing about, the alchemy of self-love is really truly finding the golden inner child in you. It's like, wow, my inner child had it right when I was a kid. It really is about having fun and going out and playing and just having awe at everything that you encounter. Hi, Elaine. Because our inner child wasn't marred or scarred at those younger ages when we wanted to go out and play, when we wanted to just be out in nature, when we wanted to just go check out, ooh, what's that critter, what's that plant, what's this, what's that. Everything being new without all these imposed rules, these learned conditions and social, the junk that we're all trying to clear out, right? We're all trying to reprogram where we are now to where we used to be when it was simpler, right? Life doesn't need to be that complicated. It's just like, wow, life is about just being right here, right now, and the blessing of it all. So I did a 24-hour fast. I want to share that. And last night I was kind of experiencing a little bit, yesterday actually, a little bit of migraine activity. And so I had to really take it easy and rest. And I was laying in my bed. I couldn't fall asleep because when it gets to a certain level, it's like I was really trying to tune in and figure out, okay, what's going on? And I know I have an overactive mind. The swelling has gone down significantly. The tenderness, it's moved. You can probably see it's not as bad. It's a little bit in here, but it's not as much around the lymph area. And so I did only water for at least 24 hours. And then last night I said, I really need something. Something in me needed electrolytes to rebalance. And so I reached for the MSM, and I'm going to tell you, MSM does not taste good, but it's so helpful. And I had a bowl of cut up watermelon from the other day that was yummy. I'm going to tell you, just fresh watermelon cleansing is just amazing. That'll really clear you out, especially if your body is dehydrated, because you can actually consume too much water and you won't absorb it. You can say, oh, I drink a lot of water, and I do. I've always been a big drinker of water and never understood why it was I wasn't always absorbing the moisture. Well, the water sometimes just passes through you, and sometimes it is better to get it through your food, especially with watermelon. And if you're not absorbing things and your food's just passing straight through you, it's not going to be beneficial to you, because it's like in, straight out. Well, what good is that? It's just emotion, right? So you're not allowing, and this is another thing I wanted to share. When you're not nourishing yourself with self-love, what makes you think your body's going to hold on to nourishment and nutrients? Think about that for a moment. Oh my gosh, if I'm not loving myself, my body's not going to accept these beautiful foods or even the crappy stuff. It's just going to pass it through. And so that could be the other manifestation. If you're not like I've been most of my life, and I can honestly say, I'm going to say it, I haven't experienced diarrhea very much in my life. As a matter of fact, it's mostly been constipation and holding on to things. And I was really, really bad at holding on to things. But if you have an experience and you got issues with diarrhea, I already say that it's definitely dairy related a lot of times. I'm going to say 98%. If you're a dairy person, it passes straight through you. So the diarrhea is that you're not nourishing your physical body from the mental body. You're not loving on yourself. Your body's just rejecting everything you're putting into it. And that's what a lot of the disease is. You're either holding on to something or not allowing something. It's that extreme pendulum swing. On which end do you find yourself? If you're able to stay within the boundaries of self-love, you're not going to get stuck, and you're not going to be rushed through or passing things off or ignoring things too. Because even still, I may not have been able to take a compliment for many, many years because I didn't know I didn't really see what people would say to me as a compliment. I just was like, I didn't see it because I didn't feel it for myself. I didn't accept it because I didn't exhibit it toward myself. If someone said you're beautiful, I'd be like, yeah, whatever. Because I didn't find myself beautiful. I just saw myself as, I'm just me. But I didn't see who me was, and I didn't see how or if I was really loving myself, right? So, yeah. And if you eat a lot of food and it passes through, here's what I know I had a high metabolism anyway because I was very active as a child. And even all my life, I've been mostly active, although I've had my bouts of just sitting around and being lazy, and I didn't like the way that felt. That brought me to more depression than anything else, because if I wasn't moving my body, it was just, again, another example of being stuck. You got to love on your body. You got to let it move and groove and dance and be alive. We didn't come to this planet Earth and be incarnated in a physical body to just sit and be stagnant and bored or unhappy. You know, I did the belly dancing in the beginning because it's all about, let's move that stuff. Let's, I didn't wear this just because I wanted to show you the Nauli exercise specifically because this area here is so important. Yeah, you'll see it in the beginning. I when I was younger, okay, I'm going to be honest, I just never wanted to be heavy. I had like this idea that I saw how unhealthy it was. And I have put on weight over the course of my life, but I've never been super heavy. Mostly because I didn't like the way people were treated. I also just felt like, I want to always be in shape. I think it was the Jane Fonda tape. It was a tape back then. She had a picture of her sideways with her leg extended. And I was like, I want to be like that. And in my mind, I set that vision and just maintained it most of my life. But you have to know what feels right for your body. You have to feel good about your body. You have to love on your body. Massages, whether you do it or someone else does it, bathing, taking a nice Epsom salt bath, a bubble bath, whatever feels good, shaving or enjoying, like I was sharing the other day. And medications are the last thing you need. Because medications are just going to keep you down, and they're going to bring in the toxic heavy metals and everything, especially if it's pharmaceutical. One of the worst things about medicine that I personally don't like is I immediately feel it in my bloodstream. Now, the cleaner you are, you feel when you eat, when you ingest something that doesn't resonate, it like enters you and your body. There's an energy about it, and you can just muscle test and see if it works for your system. The easiest muscle test is to just close your eyes, stand straight up with... It's best to put it over your solar plexus, okay? Solar plexus is kind of in between the heart and the belly. And if you hold it, whatever it is, like I have water right here, okay? And if it is not good for you, you will lose your balance. My water's not going to move me. But it takes practice and knowing. You may also be someone who trusts a pendulum, for example. You can take some form of a pendulum. I've used my necklace before. I don't do it very often because I trust my own intuition now more than anything. But it's all about learning your body mechanics and your nature and what you need. It's really tapping into your inner truth and guru. Again, the deep belly breathing is going to bring such awareness and awaken you to sensations and inner knowings that you had no idea about. It's this breathing, this life force, this prana, it's going to awaken you to going, wow, I forgot about that. It's going to bring up emotions, which is a good thing because you got to feel it to heal it, baby. And we don't want to suffocate ourselves because in the end, the more we hold on to things, we're suffocating ourselves, pushing things down. That's where the real disease is it's all up in here. The real disease is our own thinking. And then our body listens. And when the body listens, it lodges and manifests it in those areas that we experience pains, traumas, diseases, whatever comes up. And the belly, the stomach, is your second brain. So your digestion actually starts in your mouth, but you don't actually start, you put the food in your mouth as a result of what's going on up in here. And then the stomach will tell you everything that's going on, right? Like, don't you ever think, oh my gosh, I had a feeling about that. Well, where did it originate? You felt it in your stomach, right? You felt a trigger that kind of hit that stomach, and butterflies in your stomach, for example. When you were a kid, and it was like, oh, I get all flustered and fluttered. And well, because that feeling in your belly, right? It's all these little signs and listening and paying attention that gives you awareness into what's going on up in here. What's going on in your inner being? Tap into that self-love. Be the alchemist. Don't just say, oh, I love myself. I'm good. I'm healthy. I take care of myself. Really tap in to see, are you really? Do you really love yourself? Is your life golden? Are you having fun? Because that's the big picture right there. You're your own self-love alchemist. If the love isn't flowing to you, it's because you're not letting it inside. Whatever's going on around you is what's going on inside. Ciao, Adolfo. How are you? So if anyone has any questions, we have so much going on around us in the cultures. It doesn't matter what country you live in. You can see the chaos, the people who they've had it, but they haven't gone within. So the first sign that you care is when you get angry, right? It might be a lower vibration, but at least it shows you care. And the reason we tend to get angry is because something triggers us within us that hasn't been healed, hasn't been confronted. And that's the only way you're ever going to deal with anything, is to really sit with yourself and go, wow, that's what that was about. I reach out to help this person because it's triggering something that I would have wanted or liked to have helped with my own life, right? So yeah, you see a lot of the anger, the violence that's going on, and it's because somebody somewhere has been holding on to stuff that they couldn't confront internally, and they're exploding and projecting it outwardly. Don't let that happen to you. Don't suffocate yourself and cut off that life force, that prana, the breath, the sustainer. That's what you got. Nobody can take that away from you. Nobody can ever take anything away from you that you don't give them. Don't give away your power. Navel point, navel center. Keep it strong. The power is within you. You just need to choose. Is it yours, or do you give it away? I love you all so very much. Woo! I hope everybody's feeling healthy, happy, and holy today. Taking it back. Woo-hoo. Get a little belly dance on. If you didn't see me from the beginning, I started out with a belly dance. I love you all. Thank you, Carol. Thank you, everyone. Have an amazingly blessed day. And make sure that you've at least visited the bathroom for number 2 at least once, if not twice a day. Many blessings. Mwah, 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 mwah. Love you.